Good morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I know I did. Beautiful weather. God, Saturday was amazing, wasn't it? 70 degrees here in Wisconsin. Lots of work to get done, of course. It's the spring here on the Opela farm, and working hard to get a crop in this year. And I know lots of farmers around me are doing the same. It's a little dry right now, so we're fighting that. Going to need to get some rain here again. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of rain this week, help take down the dust. I know there was an accident here in Wisconsin, terrible accident, with all of the shutdown as it were. There were enough cars on the road this weekend, probably for go fishing, heading to their cabins. They hit a dust storm, and some people got into a big accident there, and they had the highway shut down. So while government wants to believe they can keep us in our homes, they really can't. And it's a shame where we're at, but also very terrible that those people got in that accident. And I'm hoping and praying for all of them to make sure that they came out of that okay and just have a bang-up car. As always, thank you again for joining the show. Please subscribe if you're new. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed and you're not new. Please like this video if you would be so kind. It helps me in the search engines, helps me get my message out, and helps me get more subscribers to my show. And as always, in the same token, please share this video. Share whatever medium you do it. Share it with a friend through your email. Share it through Facebook. Share it through Twitter. And as always, please comment. Would love to get your comments. As always wanting to, get ideas on what is on your mind and what you'd like to hear me talk about, or what you'd like to talk about in relationship to the things I'm presenting in the show. So please do that. Also, during the show, please call in at 715-352-0801. It doesn't matter if you've got a contrary opinion or one that agrees with me. I would love to have you call in and get that on the show, and I'm more than happy to address concerns you have with my show, with the world, with your local area, if you're seeing this even not in the state of Wisconsin. So please help me with my show, interact. Let's just make it that much better. All right. Opela For Wisconsin today. As always, still looking for assistance with nomination papers. If you're new, the nomination process is such that in the state, when you run for any office, either at a federal, state, or county, local type office, you have to go out and get signatures. And in my case, I'm running for the U.S. House of Representatives against Tiffany in the general election, and I'm also running as a write-in, and we'll talk a little bit about that today. But I'm really focused on nomination papers here. I have to get 1,000 signatures registered with the state by June 1st. And typically you want to get, something north of that. So, 1,400 signatures helps ensure that you won't have a problem getting on the ballot. And this simply is just to get on the ballot. I mean, it's got nothing to do with who you're going to vote for. I would like to think that people would help candidates get on the ballot so that they are looked at seriously, and they can get the message out and give voters a choice. And this goes for all the candidates. I mean, this is one of the biggest times in the election cycle when we have a presidential election that we have people who are running for office. And with what's happening in the world right now, we all should want strong choice in our election process, meaning if you have an incumbent who you feel isn't doing their job, you should be able to choose someone else during that process. And that is why we have the primary process. That's why we have the write-in process. That's why we have all the things that we can do during an election to exercise one of our most powerful actions, and that is when we vote. And now more than ever in these historic times, our vote is very important. So please, help me out. Go to my website. It's at trailblazer19.com. and click on the nomination papers and download my nomination paper, fill it out, sign as the signer, and then mail it back to the address on the nomination papers. And if you could help me out with that and help support me getting on the ballot, that would be just totally awesome. I look forward to this process. I've enjoyed it through the special election. I'm enjoying it now. I'm enjoying the interaction with everyone here in the district and around the state, and enjoy getting more involved with the decision-making process. And as part of that, today I'm announcing I'm going to be writing a letter to the editor to just kind of understand, what's being thought of and why we're thinking the way we are with this election cycle. And that, and most importantly, is, who are the people who are saying they want to be our leaders, and why should they be our leaders? And what's important in that is in District 7, in the office I'm seeking, we have currently the special election going on, and Tiffany is the Republican candidate and Tricia Zunker is the Democratic candidate. The question you have to ask yourself after the debate on Friday is, what are they doing and what do they represent? And what are they doing during this historic time? I mean, historic times call for historic leaders. And I'm not seeing historic leadership here. We've got two people who are strictly concerned with getting elected, and that's it. They should be being elected because people are so thrilled with how they're performing during difficult times, and they're not doing anything. We should be completely disappointed. We should utterly disappointed, maybe a better way to put it, in the way they're addressing what they're trying to propose they are going to do when they get in office. This is the same old story. When I get in office, please elect me. Well, Tom and Tricia, what the hell are you doing right now? I mean, what are you doing to provide leadership at the state and federal level to help the people of Wisconsin get through this historic event? And it's not just simply about unemployment. It's not just simply about the stay-at-home order. Our freedoms are under attack. We are being made to be puppets of the politicians, and we need representation. So if we think about it, these are some of the things that have occurred since Tom started his journey, and I started my journey, and Jason Church started his journey back in September when Sean Duffy decided he needed to go to work for a newspaper or a news agency more than he needed to represent us here in Wisconsin. And since that time, the state's closed. The state's closed with no flu data comparison, no hospital data. We have closed businesses. We have no help for the unemployed. We have no help for for people who've lost their health insurance. We're still not receiving the federal budget, the federal support under the COVID Care Act of $600 per week. Businesses are filing for bankruptcy. The SBA loan program not funded properly, and we don't know who's getting these loans here in the state of Wisconsin. And I know my neighbor still hasn't gotten theirs. I haven't gotten mine. So where is it? They both seem to be just fine. Both Tom and Tricia are, Tiffany and Tricia Zunker are just fine with social tracking, contact tracing, and the ongoing closure. You can't hide behind the two leaders and say you're doing anything. There is nothing preventing our legislature from putting a bill on Governor Evers' desk every day. There's nothing preventing our legislature, both the Assembly and the Senate, from meeting virtually and voting every day. These are historic times. They call for historic action. They call for historic leadership, and it's not there. they could put these bills in front of the governor and go through the process of identifying that they're saying this is what we need, and putting the bill on his desk and letting him decide that he's not going to support it. Because then we put it in our governor's lap, and then people truly understand that we have one person dictating to us what we're going to do. And none of that's occurring. And it's very disappointing that they didn't address any of those topics during the debate on Friday, and I highly doubt they're going to do it again tonight when they have their second debate. And the debates are very disappointing. They're not really saying anything different than they've already said. They're not. I mean, again, historic times, historic actions, historic leadership, and it's not there. So the question for me is it just me that's saying we have pandemony over the data? I mean, over the weekend and again this morning, we don't have consistent data. Now the president's saying we're going to have 100,000 people dead, and that data is being put together with other data that you have cases that aren't fully determined to be COVID being commingled with that data. So are we commingling the flu data? Why don't we have flu data that's running side by side? Why don't we show by state the number of hospital beds, and then in the state data, why aren't we showing the counties the number of hospital beds and how we're approaching overrunning those hospital beds? And why aren't we showing those hospitals that have limited PPE? I mean, if that's truly the case, we should know it. I went to the doctor with my daughter last week, and they had masks, and they gave us masks if we asked for them. And interestingly enough, Laura Ingraham talks about masks, and that's in our link of the day today, and they're total, in effect, to prevent any virus moving through the air, both going in and coming out. There's data out there, and so please go to my link and watch Ingram's information she's getting from experts related on, the mask is more as a comfort thing than it's really going to stop anything. And you got to think about it, how does the mask work? And we're going to cover that a little bit as we get to in my opinion. But there's lots of data coming out that the masks don't work. So why are we wearing masks? And there's also conversation that says, do masks make us touch our face more than if we didn't have one on? And there's data out there that says, if you're outside and the virus hits the sun, it's only going to last for about 90 seconds. And during that time from when it enters the air and the sun hits it, it's breaking down from the second it hits the air till this 90 seconds when it's gone. So it's being broke down all the way to 90 seconds. Vaccine, flu shot. Why do we keep getting information about a vaccine? This is a virus. We have no vaccines for viruses. Why do we not call it a flu shot? Our head of our State Department came out this weekend and talked about the fact that there's mounting evidence that this came from a lab, not some animal. There's mounting evidence that shows we as a country, through Dr. Fauci, sent Wuhan research labs $3.5 million to continue research on COVID-19, and we're not seeing anything on that. So this is a flu, this is a virus. We're going to get a flu shot to help us combat it, but ultimately it will be our immune systems that are going to fight this virus. And in the meantime, Americans suffer. There was a video that's going viral out on the internet right now, and it's very disturbing for me here in Wisconsin, where 2 police officers go and harass a woman at her home, and it's a harassment. We live in a free country. We do not live in a dictatorship. And I don't care that the governor's issued a safer at home order. We've read the Declaration of Independence. We've read the Bill of Rights. It's our right under the Constitution to not comply with dictators or comply with laws that we don't agree with. And if people are making decisions to interact and be social and take care of their children, it's none of the police's business. It's none of the government's business as to how they're doing that. It just isn't. It's our choice as to how we interact with people. We do it all the time. It's not our job to police people. And we'll talk a little bit about that, in my opinion. Links of the day. Please see down below the links to Lauren Ingram's and the Ingraham angle. Experts don't like to admit they're wrong. And then also see Tucker Carlson's totalitarianism doesn't shock us anymore. I've had some comments about playing those videos during my show. And as I gain more technology that allows me to do it during my live broadcast, I'll try to just bring experts into the show. But I do believe that I don't like taking things out of context. So for me, shows like Tucker Carlson's and the Ingraham angle are the whole broadcast is important. The message that's trying to be sent is the entire broadcast. So please, if I do take excerpts as time goes on, understand that I want you to watch the entire video. I'm not trying to set a tone by just, highlighting something that's, inflammatory or is going to make my point in a way that you're going to get all inflamed. You got to watch the whole video. And I recommend that with anything you see coming forward. Don't listen to just the pieces. Investigate the entire video and entire message that was being sent, because in a lot of cases a message isn't sent in that instant communication, in that brief 3 seconds of what was being said. There might have been 5 minutes of conversation that brings you to a context of what's trying to be said, because you're not going to keep saying the thing over and over and over and over again. I mean, when you're in a conversation, you're kind of responsible for making sure you remember what the hell it was you were talking about. So if you're talking about mass and then somebody makes a comment about what they think about mass 5 minutes into the conversation, and you're like, why did you say that? Well, I mean, are you even in the conversation? If you're in the conversation, then that's why I'm saying, you've got to watch the video in its full length, because it's part of the entire 5, 6, 10 minutes, which is also the same for my show. I mean, if you don't watch the entire video, that's okay. But if you don't watch it from front to back, you're not going to get the full message, because I want to give you raw data, and then I want to give my opinion separate from that. I try to keep my opinion out when I'm presenting what I'm finding for news, and sometimes that's difficult. I mean, it just happens. And then we move on to making sure that I get my opinion in, I guess. Sorry, I got lost there a little bit. But getting my opinion across in terms of, okay, so now let's understand this portion of the show is my opinion, which so happens that's where we are right now. So in my opinion, we have governors telling us that they're basing their decisions on the data. We have people unilaterally deciding for us how we're going to live our lives. We have people abusing their power and harassing citizens for no other reason than their child is out having fun with another child. We're not being given the full facts. For me, the full facts would be, okay, here's what the flu data is. Here's the status of our hospitals. Here's the pressure that COVID-19 is putting on. Here's how many cases we have. Here's the demographic of those cases. And here's who's dying, and here's who's not. Here's who's recovered as it compares to the flu. Because understand something, they're saying we've had 3.5 million cases of coronavirus. We have 58 million cases of the flu. Why isn't that as important, again, as what's happening with COVID-19? I mean, this data needs to be run side by side so people understand when they're thinking about what's occurring that it's not as bad as it's being presented. Yes, people are dying from COVID-19, and those people in the brief demographics that are you can find in some cases out there seems to indicate that it's people over 60 years old. Now, why is that important? Well, why it's important is you've got business issues here. If the primary group of people that's at most risk here is typically retired and not dependent on going to a job to earn their living, well, that doesn't mean a lot of those people don't still work. They have a way to survive during this by not working because they're basically in semi-retirement or full retirement. They have every right to just decide, I'm not going out. And people can do things to help support that. We do it all the time. You could have groups who help make sure that the people that come in contact with them, just like now, are staying healthy and are being checked. And we can accommodate that group of people, but yet still operate as a country, still operate as a state, still operate as a locality. So you've got to continue to ask yourself every day, what's the point? And who's making the decisions? And what decisions are being made by what groups? Which leads us to the food for thought. Are we all just pawns in a political battle between Republican conservatives and Democratic liberals? Is this simply a battle? And I will continue to explore that as my show goes on. Thanks for joining me today. And if you're here at the end, thank you for staying with me through the show. Thank you for watching my show. Please like the video, please share the video, and please consider calling in and during the show. And I'd love to hear from you. And on that note, have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.